In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder Testimonial module. The Testimonial module is used to display testimonials, and each testimonial has a few different elements, a profile image, the testimonial quote text itself, an optional name, position, and website. This is a great way to show your potential customers what your current customers think of you, and you might typically see this on either your home page or sales page, and you can adjust the background colors as you see here. You can also choose not to use a profile image. You won't always have, an image of the person that's giving you the testimonial, so you can just use like a quote icon instead, as seen here. So like I said, typically you might see this on a sales page. So if you're, building out your sales page, as I have here, you have your, pricing, and some FAQs and maybe some, some social proof here. And above this, I want to add, some testimonials from my customers, which will really help, I think, show just how good the service is that we're offering and hopefully increase our conversion rates. So I'm going to edit the page and then we'll jump into the module settings. So down here, I want to add a new row. And I'm just going to add 3 testimonials. So I'm going to use a 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 column. And then I'm going to click the Insert Modules button and look for that Testimonials module, which will be towards the bottom. Once you click on that, it's going to launch the Testimonial module settings. And as with all Divi Builder modules, the settings are broken up into 3 tabs: General Settings, Advanced Design Settings, and Custom CSS. As a general rule of thumb, everything you need to build a really great page can be found inside the general settings. But if you want even more control over the appearance of your module, then you can venture into the advanced design settings, which has customization options for absolutely every part of the module. You can change every part of the design and really have it match your vision for your site. And if you happen to know CSS, you can also jump into our custom CSS tab and add CSS rules to the module and individual elements within inside the module. Now I have some really great tutorials that go over these 2 tabs, so be sure to check those out. But in this tutorial, I'm really just going to focus on the general settings. So I'm going to head back to the general settings and go over each of these in detail. First up is the author name. This is the author of the quote that is the testimonial, so you want to put in the person's name here. So input a name. You could input their job title. This is optional, so it might add more social proof to have someone of importance, giving this testimonial. So you might want to have their name and their position and their company and all this stuff. So next up is the company name, which is also optional, but you can input the company they work for. And if you do input a company name, you could link that to a URL. And again, this is optional. If you do add a company name and a URL for that company, you can choose whether or not the URL opens in a new window when clicked, or if it just opens up on the same page you're on. Typically, I switch it to open in a new tab, because if you're on a sales page, you don't really want to drive people away from that page. So if they do click on this link, let's just have it open up in a new tab, and when they close that tab, they'll be right back on your sales page, and hopefully that'll increase conversions a bit. Next up is the portrait image. This is the image of the person giving the quote, and this is optional as well. But if you happen to have a profile photo of that person, then you can input it here. And also you can choose to enable or disable the quote icon. Typically I disable this if I'm using a profile photo, but if I don't have a profile photo, I'll enable a quote icon, just so it's clear that this is a quote and not just a random block of text. We can also choose to assign a custom background color. By default it's gray, so I'm just going to leave it gray, but you can change that if you like. And then you can choose the text color. So if you've chosen a dark background color, you might want to use light text. And since we're using a light background color in this module, I'm just going to keep the text dark so that it shows up well. And finally, we have our text orientation. You can choose left, right, centered, or justified. And I'm just going to keep it left for now. Next up is the main content, which is the quote and the testimonial itself. So whatever the testimonial is, you want to copy and paste that into the content area here. And if at any time you want to get a preview of your module, you can do so by clicking the preview icon here, and that'll render the module in the parent section. So here we have the first, 3rd column. The other 2 are still blank, but you can see the testimonial module we've created so far with that gray background color, profile photo, and name, title, company and a link to the company. And you can also bounce back and forth between our responsive design testing tabs to see how exactly this module will look on different screen sizes. And finally, we have our admin label, CSS ID, and CSS class, which we won't be using in this tutorial. So I've created my first testimonial, and since I want to have 3 testimonials, I'm just going to duplicate this into 3 different columns. And then we'll update our page and take a look on the front end. So here we have our 3 different testimonials. They all have the same profile photo, 1 in each column. And I'm going to go back now and just change the photos and the names, and maybe change the background color to as well, so you can see how that works. So I'm going to go back to our second testimonial. I'm going to change out the photo here, and I'm going to save that. And then for our third testimonial, I'll change this photo as well. And I'll try changing the background color. So let's change to a darker background color, for example, maybe a dark purple. And since I'm using a dark background color in this module, I'll want to use a light text color instead. And as always, you can get a preview of what you're working with by clicking the preview icon. So we have these 3 testimonials now, 2 different photos in these 2, and a different photo in the third one as well. But on this one, we use the dark background color and some light text. So I'm going to save and just take a look at the front end one more time. And here we have our finished page with our 3 testimonials. Like I said, you can also choose to apply that quote icon, which is optional. But for example, if we didn't have any photos in these, so I'm going to go back and just remove these photos and apply the quote icon instead, so you can get an idea what that would look like. And I'll refresh the page. And coming down here, we have 3 testimonials. No avatars this time, just 3 quote icons. So that's a basic overview of the testimonial module and the general settings. But before I end the tutorial, I just want to jump in briefly into those advanced design settings that I mentioned previously, because there's a lot you can do here to customize the appearance of the module. You can really customize everything. So for example, since I have the quote icon enabled, maybe I want to change that quote icon color to something else. If I change it to purple, jump into our preview mode here, you can see that the quote icon has been changed to purple instead of gray. You could change the body font, for example. Maybe you want to change the font, make it bold. You could change the text color, letter spacing, line height, and jumping back and forth from this preview is always nice. So here I've kind of boldened things up. I've changed the font and changed the color. And as you can see, you can really customize just about everything about the module. And that is a basic overview of the Divi Builder testimonial module.